If you have heard about Fatima, you would almost certainly have heard about Father Gruner. Born in Montreal, Quebec, Father Nicholas Gruner's journey to the priesthood was highly influenced by his great devotion to Padre Pio. In 1968, at the age of 26, Father Gruner spent most of that year, the last year of Padre Pio's life, living in San Giovanni Rotondo to be as near as possible to that living saint. Thereafter, he and some other like-minded young men decided to imitate Padre Pio and become Franciscan friars in Italy. On August 22, 1976, after completing his theological studies at the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas in Rome, he was ordained by Bishop Venanzia at the Diocese of Avellino, Italy. When the hope of forming an English-speaking Franciscan community did not materialize, Father had to decide what to do. Communion in the hand was on the horizon. Father knew that he could have no part in that practice, so the diocesan priesthood in Avellino or his native Canada was now out of the question. So instead, on June 5, 1978, Bishop Venanzia officially granted Father Gruner written permission to live and work outside the Diocese of Avellino. With that blessing, Father started the Fatima Center in Fort Erie, Ontario. In that same year, he was appointed as Vice President and Executive Director of the Apostolate and sent out the very first Fatima Crusader magazine. Father Gruner's intention for the magazine was to bring the message of Our Lady of Fatima to the world. In addition, Father was entrusted with one of 25 hand-carved wooden pilgrim statues of Our Lady of Fatima, blessed by Pope Paul VI. The pilgrim statue traveled throughout Canada and then to various other countries where Father Gruner visited and held conferences. We all owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to Father Gruner for his tireless works, prayers, and dedication to Our Lady.
Today we're going to be talking about something that you have to deal with over and over again, and that is the accusation that you are suspended.
Someone said they had read an article, though they did not name the publication, in which it was discussed that Father Gruner was disobedient to his bishop and suffering some sort of canonical penalty.
Why exactly did many think Father Gruner was suspended? On September 12, 2001, the Vatican Press Office released a statement saying, "The Congregation for the Clergy, upon a mandate from a higher authority, wishes to state that Reverend Nicholas Gruner is under an ante vini suspension, which has been confirmed by a definitive sentence of the Supreme Tribunal of the Apostolic Signatura." What exactly does this statement mean? Chris Ferrara explains it in his article. Actually, Virginia, Father Gruner is not suspended. In other words, the anonymous author of a press release says that the anonymous higher authority says that the congregation should say that the Apostolic Signatura says that Father Gruner's suspension has been confirmed. Notice that nowhere in this chain of hearsay and buck passing is there any indication of A, who has suspended Father Gruner. Note, it is not the Vatican that has done so. B, when he was suspended. Or C, why he was suspended. There is a very good reason these particulars are missing from the press release. To reveal the particulars is to reveal that there is absolutely no basis for Father Gruner's suspension, no offense against faith or morals, no violation of any law of the Church, nothing. This claim of his suspension points towards an action supposedly taken by the Bishop of Avellino, Italy. Due to Father Gruner's truth-telling work with the apostolate, he became a thorn in the side of Vatican officials who were determined to bury Our Lady of Fatima's message and requests. An obvious route to destroy the apostolate presented itself in the circumstances of Father Gruner's ties to the Diocese of Avellino. In 1994, Bishop Antonio Forte, under admitted direct pressure from the Vatican Secretary of State, ordered Father Gruner to either secure incardination in another diocese or return to live in Avellino.
Because what they said very simply was this: find another bishop. So I found another bishop. Then in the back door they go and say to the bishop, don't take him. I had this on record in writing from Bishop Rego in northern India. So Bishop Rego writes to my bishop to get the letter of excardination. The bishop was commanding me to find another bishop. Says, I'm not giving it to you. So here he is, first of all, he says, I'm waiting for orders from the Vatican. In the meantime, then he gets called in. Bishop Rego, the same man, gets called in by the papal nuncio He has to go down the mountainside, come down to Delhi, and he says, if you incarnate Father Gruner, we will not give you any more money from the Vatican.
Due to the poor financial state of Bishop Brego's diocese, Father Gruner had to find another bishop. By God's grace, he found 3, of which one completed the incarnation.
What did Father Gruner do? Well, he didn't get incarnated, but he did. So if he's not disobeyed, then he hasn't broken a law, he hasn't broken a command, then he can't be suspended, because you can't be penalized, and suspension is a penalization, unless you committed some crime. I've not disobeyed because I found a bishop. I didn't find one, as you say, I found 3. I found actually more than 3, but since the order was given, I found 3. Now, and one of them put it in writing, the second one told me verbally, and the third one carried it through and endorsed it even after he was pressured by the Vatican not to. So I've obeyed. So if I've not done anything wrong, they cannot suspend me.
Chris Ferrara, one of Father Gruner's lawyers for this particular case, shared in one of the conferences the official letter from Archbishop Arulappa of Hyderabad, India, who formally incarnated Father Gruner.
25th February 2000. To whomsoever it may concern. This is to certify that Reverend Father Nicholas Gruner is a priest of the Archdiocese of Hyderabad in good standing and under no canonical censure or irregularity. He enjoys all the priestly faculties in the Archdiocese, including universal faculties for confessions and Mass. He was ordained on 22nd August 1976, and ever since his ordination he has been exercising his priestly ministry. I permanently grant him the faculty to exclusively and publicly celebrate the traditional Latin rite of the Mass 1962 everywhere. Signed, Samanini Arulappa, Archbishop of Hyderabad, with the official seal. Next question.
When Our Lady first appeared in Fatima, she appeared to only 3 children. On her second appearance, there were 50 people at the cova, and by the third appearance, 5,000 were there. The fourth brought out more than 10,000, her fifth approximately 30,000, and on October 13, 1917, 70,000 witnessed the miracle of the sun. Those who believed spread the message of Our Lady of Fatima to their family and friends. When the Vatican began to insist that the consecration of Russia had been done and the full third secret was released, Father Gruner stood up for the truth. His was often a lonely voice, crying out in the wilderness, but it was consistent and it was everywhere. The Fatima Crusader, in letters, on the television, on the radio, at conferences, on the internet.
Father tried everything. To sway the Pope, he purchased a cable TV station in Rome to broadcast in the Vatican. Perhaps the bishops could exert influence on the Pope, so he held bishop conferences. Perhaps priests could influence their bishops, so he arranged for thousands of priests to attend conferences and receive Fatima literature. The media and those in academia need to be convinced, so we held conferences tailored to them. Perhaps the politicians could be convinced that the message of Fatima was the answer to the world's ills. So we lobbied politicians at the European Parliament and invited Ron Paul and other world leaders or other leaders to speak at the conference in Niagara Falls.
With the Fatima Center, Father Gruner accomplished countless works specifically to help millions of souls to learn about the message of Fatima.
The man was irreplaceable.
Irreplaceable, yes. There's nobody to replace him. We have, other people helping out doing. You really need about 3 or 4 people to do what Father Gruner
He's
would
never
do.
going to be replaced.
No.
The work of the apostolate will continue.
We continue, thank God. Yes.
And we can only do what he set in motion, and hopefully, as badly as we do it, keep the work going on. And I would urge people to support the work that Father Gruner began so long ago, because the cause is far from over.
In the final years of his life, he came to an epiphany. The only ones who could accomplish the breakthrough he wanted were the Catholic faithful, you and me. And as Father noted, when Our Lady appeared in 1917, she didn't appear to the Pope, bishops, priests, politicians, newspaper reporters, or university professors. She appeared to 3 peasant children.
And just before Father passed, he was preparing his last conference that was going to be held in Boston. He wanted to train us to know our faith better, learn how to sanctify ourselves through prayer and sacrifice, and how to spread the message of Fatima to our family, friends, work colleagues, and fellow parishioners. It was easy to rely on Father Gruner to spread that message, and we relied on him to carry the fight forward. Perhaps we needed to lose him for many of us to realize that this is our fight. That in order for the message of Fatima to prevail, we must take up the battle ourselves.